Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Once again, I'm your boy Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. I want to bring up a saying that has a lot of meaning these days, and it really bothers me. It worries me a little bit, and that's the silent majority. Now, the first definition meant you were talking about the dead. The dead are the silent majority, or at least they were. Now, as we grow, as we change, things change. The definitions of words change. The definitions of sayings change. And Nixon got that, and he went with it, the silent majority. He was talking about anyone who basically wasn't a rich hippie. Now, I'm just going over this topically, but he was talking about people rurally. He was talking about people who had been in World War II. He was talking about anyone who wasn't a hippie, ultimately. People in the heartland, farmers who are not hippies. I'm not saying if you're a farmer, you're not a hippie, but I think you know what I'm talking about. And it's interesting because we got Trump in. Nobody wanted Trump. Nobody thought that Trump would get in, and bam, he did. Bam, and oh, everybody hated it. Nobody liked him, but the silent majority, they got him in there, right? It's just, man, that's just how it went, and I love Reddit. I freaking love Reddit. Anyone who's been online as much as me knows about Reddit. I've been on Reddit for, well, at least since 2005. So I've been there for quite a while. Man, when I was first on Reddit, it was something. I didn't understand 1/3 of what people were posting because it was all about science or really super intellectual stuff. I was on Shoutwire. I love these social media sites. Shoutwire, great. They had a fight with Dig.com. And through that, I learned what Dig was. I freaking love Dig. So after that, Dig started getting into a fight with Reddit. And I loved Reddit. I seen Reddit. I didn't jump ship immediately, but Dig 2.0 came out. Man, I was right on Reddit. So I have been married, freaking married to Reddit because I like to watch the world go. Basement Dweller. Love to watch. No idea what's going on in life, but I like to look. I like to watch. So, man, back in the day when I first moved out, I had multiple monitors. I wanted to watch the world turn and see if I could figure anything out about it. I had the stock market up here, multiple stock markets on one monitor, weather station on another, news on another, email, social media. Wanted to see how they'd affect one another. And man, I tell you, I didn't really pull a lot out of that. It's just like trying to understand the universe based on the babbles of a crazy homeless person. There are some people that think that they can find meaning out of the babbles, the chaos of a homeless person. There are a lot of people that think that. But anyways, I don't think I found that. But what I did find was Reddit, and I can tell you what it is, and I can tell you what it was. And what it was ain't what it is. Man, I first got on Reddit and everything was really nice. Just sunshine and roses. Once again, I couldn't understand 1/3 of the stuff that I was reading because it was too hardcore based in science. I'm sure some of y'all take a look on Reddit for medical things. You get to the medical page and you don't understand anything that it's talking about. There is a way to get a layman's version, but it's increasingly, I forget how to do it. Anyways, Reddit was like that. This stuff was meaningful, but I didn't understand it. But it was still meaningful. This wasn't just more social media news. Let's face it. These days, news is operated by, like, in the States, CNN, NBC, Fox. There's a whole lot of other ones, but those are the far left and right. Fox, come on. Can any reasonable person say that Fox is 100% good news? Still, CNN, NBC, can really anybody say that 100% of that is 100% awesome, excellent, cutting-edge news? Now, NBC has come a long way, but let's not forget that all of these places, well, for example, Fox News is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who isn't even American, so why is this place why is this news facility that's owned by an Australian being so pro-American to the point that it's almost retarded? Let's face it, Fox is a little out there. I'm not saying everything they do is bad, but Fox is a little bit out there. Anyways, what they're doing, Fox, NBC, CNN, they know their target audience. They know how to advertise to their target audience. It's all about advertisements. Go to any of their websites, you're going to be bombarded by advertisement. It's all about selling advertisements. It's not about handing you the news. It's about finding a target audience, thinking of what they want to hear you say, finding their perspective so you can feed them their perspective. And we all go to hell because none of us have accurate news. And at the same time, none of us really want accurate news. We want news that agrees with what we said. Only recently have we had information at our fingertips. And even though we have information at our fingertips, there are still websites out there that are just full of BS. So as human beings and as individuals, we need to have the ability to go and find and understand the right information. But since we're so based in capitalism, especially in the States, we get all of this. And then if you're looking for truth, from either of these sides, you almost have to go to the Russian Times or Al Jazeera. Like people that are almost our enemies who just want to say, bam, that's what's going on. It's just everybody's got their own, they say one thing and they do another. Like, for example, I'm going to get back to Nixon. Nixon he said he wanted to get out of the war. But really, in the behind the scenes, he wanted to dismantle Lyndon Johnson. He wanted to dismantle the person previous from him, his peace talks, so that he could look good. And so he was saying one thing and doing another, and that happens all the frickin' time. And if you don't think it does, then guys, you're not checking the news. I'm not saying every president ever has ever done that, but if you think it's never happened, then you're in another world. I'm sorry. But Reddit, we're definitely at a time like in the 60s. We got all the hippies out. We got the social justice warriors, the hippies of this generation. We got them all over the place. Virtue signalers, all of them, trying to find a situation where somebody's doing something wrong. And we've always done this, man. Home repair guys, computer guys, we just love to say, hey, you're doing that wrong, or you did that wrong. And I'm sure many of you techs out there that get into the server room will take a look around the server and say, that's not the way it should be. We'll take that out. We don't like the way that this architecture is. We should renew it. But then if you go up to the person commanding, it's like, do we have the money to do that? Do we need to do it? Are we making production? Is it working? And because of that, a lot of time we just go with it. It's not always a good idea. Like, because they didn't get off Windows XP, the WannaCry virus killed many people in the UK. And man, that's just unfortunate. But anyways, the silent majority, the new hippies, are on Reddit. They're on TV. They're on NBC. They're on CNN. All the information that comes out is from New York or California. And let's face it, the internet is basically run, for the most part, at least the social internet, seems to be run by a bunch of virtue signalers who are more interested in being right than they are and being the social justice warrior, being the one who's correct. Because if you're right, then that means you're the better human being. And if you're the better human being, then hey, that's what's going on. So we got a lot of virtue signaling going on. And that kind of worries me because the Middle East, there's a lot of places in the Middle East that are wrecked up by a nuts religion, a nuts interpretation of our religion, I should say. And there are a lot of people that try to act like they're closer to God, that they're so super close to God. So it's like a punk fight. It's punk points. Have you ever heard of punk points? That, man, back in 2000, 2005, there's like a you're not punk and I'm telling everyone kind of thing. I'm more punk than you, therefore I'm a better human being. And punks would do stuff like, oh man, one time I was eating a bunch of candy in this really neglected hotel. Really freaking, I dropped one and I was like, I ain't fucking touching that. And one of the punks I was with, who later broke into my house, picked it up, and he's like, punk boys, okay, enjoy that hepatitis C, brother. You have fun with that. Anyways, back to the topic. But seriously, we have a lot of social justice warriors on Reddit. A lot of people who are definitely on the far right. They've kind of hijacked this, and what I don't like is the narrative seems to be all about being right, being correct, being the most sensitive, being the person who is the nicest. Is because I'm kind of interested to see where this is going to go. I mean, the 60s versus the 70s. What happened to the hippies? It's as if the 60s was an explosion of love and freedom and power and empowerment for an alternate movement, a beautiful movement of the hippies. The hippies that were saying things like, let's get out of the war, let's have free love, let's have all of this stuff. And then the 70s happened. And man, I've never liked the 70s. I was born in the 80s, and I had never liked what has come out of the 70s, or at least what the 70s have become. To me, the only thing good that came out of the 70s was, I think it was about 74, the price of a calculator hit like rock bottom, and all of a sudden everyone could afford one. And about 20 years later, we would all have calculators in our pockets, regardless of what our teachers told us in high school. So, social justice warriors of Reddit full of social justice warriors. There is nobody on the right. The Trump supporters are hardly even there. Even in Canada, the conservatives are hardly even there. For example, in Alberta, about, 5% of it is liberal, is on the left side. No, yeah, 5%. The rest of it is completely conservative, completely blue. It's freaking amazing. But if you go onto Reddit, it looks like everything in Alberta is on the left, is liberal. But that's not what's going on. That's definitely not what's going on. So I'm wondering, if we're in the 60s, if Reddit right now was in the 60s, what is going to happen when our version of the 70s come? Because man, the 70s, it was as if all of the hippies just woke up out of a drug-induced coma and found out that they had syphilis and all of this stuff because of all the free sex that they were having. But that's okay because we got new versions of birth control. Seriously, birth control hasn't been around for very long. But, what happened to the hippies in the 70s? What was the 70s? And what is it going to be like on Reddit once we get past the social justice warrior time? When everybody who is on Reddit is definitely a social justice warrior. I'm finding conversations that I'm just not getting the answers to. I'm finding rhetoric. I'm looking for answers to questions, and all I'm getting is rhetoric or downvotes on some things when you're just asking a question. Reddit isn't what it used to be. Everything changes, especially when it comes to new technologies like what's on Reddit. But what I'm trying to get at is we have New York, California, a few other places that are absolutely booming and sending out all of the information. That's basically where most of the news, the broadcast, the Hollywood stuff comes from. When we're on Twitter, we're talking to the left. There aren't too many people on the right talking on Twitter. So what I'm saying is we have to take into account the vocal minority. Does not control everything. They're not everywhere, and we're split more than we've been, in a long time, especially these days, especially with the climate change, especially with all of that stuff going on. But we can't just kind of close our mind off to the others. Everyone's always like, it's one way or the other. It's absolutely one way or the other. But we're living in a world that has, at least in North America, it seems we were pretty much 50-50. And we need to make sure that we listen to each other more often than we actually are. Anyways, that's it for me. Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. Have a good one, folks, and take care of each other.